Hey everyone, how are we going? So DC Black Label's The Free Jokers has finally come to an end. Well, I say finally, but it was only a free-issue story. But it feels like it's been a lot longer than that, given it's been 4 years since we first got hints about this thing. So yeah, Free Jokers number 3, another very amazing cover, just one of several. But it's brought an end to the story, so I just thought I'd give a few thoughts on both this issue and the Free Jokers story as a whole. I'll just start off by saying that as a whole, I really enjoyed the Free Jokers. I think it was nice. I really enjoy it. I think it's the type of thing I can revisit again and again, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a big continuity-shaking event like I first thought it would be, especially when I first started hinting about the whole Free Joker idea, but I'm seeing it more as like this really good self-contained story that sort of delves into the sort of psychology of the characters involved, and it's just a interesting story. It's not. I don't think it's going to be anything quite like Killing Joke level of love, and it's probably going to be divisive. But for what it's worth, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the art. I enjoyed the story. I'm taking it for what it is, and I'm going to be really interested to see how people sort of react to it over years, how it's worked into continuity, whether it's rejected, whether it's sort of made canon. It'll be interesting to see how it's treated. Now, from the beginning, it's been pretty clear that the whole idea of having free Jokers has been tied into the various iterations of a Joker in comics over his 80-year history. And you can tell that a lot of love has gone into sort of representing this history of Joker and trying to bring it into like a tangible fashion. And you really get that in the first few pages of this issue, where we see Batman sort of discussing the three different Jokers and how they sort of relate to the different stages of his career. He says that the criminal Joker reminds him of his earliest encounters with him, which could be contradictory. We'll get back to that in a bit. But he says that this reminds him of his earliest interactions with him when he was much more focused and less theatrical, which is obviously meant to represent the Golden Age version of a Joker when he first appeared, when, for those who don't know, he was a much more serious, much more focused character, not as campy, much more lethal. He was a psycho. That's how he was in the Golden Age. That's how he was first introduced. It wasn't until the Silver Age, where thanks to the Comics Code Authority and thanks to the idea of not being happy with Batman constantly failing to stop the psychotic murderer, that things changed, which is referenced when Batman talks about the clown Joker, who he says was a lot more campy, but in a very violent sort of way. It's sort of like a children's show host, but he was still deadly. It's just he had a lot more gimmicky, campy methods. This is the sort of Joker killing you for joy was a type thing. Because in the Silver Age, the Joker was he was dialed back from being this homicidal psycho to being more of a goofy, tricky, jokey villain. Jokey. Which is something that happened to a lot of characters in the Silver Age. Restrictions by the Comics Code Authority really caused a lot of changes to characters in the Silver Age. Even Batman himself stopped being so dark and started becoming, that's when we got like the Adam West Batman. That's the type of thing they're talking about. Then he says that the comedian Joker is more sadistic than the others, and this is something that could quite sort of contradict other things because it doesn't quite fit perfectly well. But so this is obviously meant to be sort of the Joker from the Bronze Age, so like the late 70s onwards to now, which is a lot. That's a lot of variations in Joker. He hasn't been the same in comics for that whole period of time, but you see what they're going for. It's not a perfect analog, but you can appreciate what they're trying to do. This would make sense because it was in this time period where we had the Joker. Because for those who don't know, the Joker, after the Silver Age, he actually took a 10-year break. It was about 10 years where he wasn't in comics at all. He didn't appear for about 10 years. And when he came back, they sort of reintroduced him as being a much more lethal Joker again. In the story of, I think it was the Joker's Five-Way Revenge. And you sort of had something about the Joker returning to his sort of darker roots. And, it was in, just like a bit under a decade later, we got things like A Death in the Family, with Killing Joke, where, Joker killing Jason Todd and paralyzing Barbara Gordon. So this really does you can see where they're going with this. But having said that, we've also established that was the clown Joker that killed Jason Todd. So, like I said, it's not a perfect analog, but you can see what they're doing here. You see what they're trying to do, and I think it works enough. You can appreciate it. I think Killing Joke and The Death in the Family also were published in the same year too, so there's that. But anyway, like I said, it's not perfect. But Anyway, so as for the story itself in this issue, basically Joe Chill has been kidnapped from his jail cell. We found in the last issue that he's actually dying of cancer. So Batman gets called in to investigate. In the process of searching Joe Chill's cell, he finds a bunch of letters that Joe had written for Bruce Wayne. Turns out that over years he'd been attempting to write apology letters, but he sort of never sent them, obviously not the easiest thing to do. But he had always wanted to sort of apologize to Bruce Wayne. Among these letters, though, Batman finds one addressed to Batman, and it includes tickets from a Monarch Theatre for Marco Zorro, as well as a Joker card. And so, obviously, as we all know, Monarch Theatre, Marco Zorro, that's the theatre that the Waynes went to, and the movie they saw the night that Thomas and Martha Wayne were killed. Now, it's interesting that Monarch Theatre has been brought into this, because it's very similar to stuff that happened in the Joker War story, which has sort of been running the last few months in the mainline Batman comics. So I don't know what there's any communication among the different writers or whatnot, but it's just there are some similar plot beats in both stories. Like, both feature Joker knowing Batman's identity, both feature him sort of using his personal history against him, both feature specifically the Joker using the Monarch Theatre, and filling it with Jokerized victims, slightly different in both versions, but still the same ideas there. So yeah, it's very interesting if there's ever going to be they're ever going to try and make them gel as being in the same continuity or not. But anyway, we have Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood all go to the Monarch Theatre. They all sort of enter in from different ways, with Batman going straight in for a front door, the others going around the back and roof, I think, something like that. Batgirl and Red Hood get caught up fighting a bunch of Jokerized victims, so you got all these Jokers running around in purple Usher's outfits. And meanwhile, Batman goes into the screen, and there's a projection showing the criminal Joker with Joe Chill, and he's sort of asking him why he killed the Waynes. He wants the real reason. And basically, Joe Chill says that the real reason he killed the Waynes was when he saw them. To him, they represented all the people who sort of take everything and have everything in the city, contrasted to people like him who had nothing. And to him, it was like people like them were the reason he had nothing. And that was wrong with the city. So out of anger, he killed them. But he didn't realize they had their son with him. And it wasn't until after that he saw that they had their son. And then it was after, also not till after, that he found out that the Waynes were actually good people that had been trying to use their money to help the city. And so he regretted what he did. That's why he'd been trying to write these letters to Bruce Wayne for all these years. Now, we then see at the same time, in the theatre, while this projection's been played, we see that the criminal Joker's there with Joe Chill, ready to drop him in a vat of chemicals. He wants to make Joe Chill the next Joker. The criminal Joker's also wearing dynamite around his waist, so if Batman tries him, he's going to blow him all up. Now, we keep sort of cutting between the fights going on with Batgirl and Red Hood against these other Jokers, and Batman up with the criminal Joker and Joe Chill. Batgirl's confronted by a comedian Joker, and they have a lot of killing joke callbacks. He's wearing the same sort of clothes, not the Hawaiian shirt, but the yellow waistcoat, black shirt. He's got a camera, and I love there's a moment where Batgirl actually sort of smashes a camera into his face. I think that's a nice little play on that. But so they're fighting down there. Meanwhile, the criminal Joker's explaining that he thinks that to make the ultimate Joker, right now the Joker is just this sort of anonymous, unidentified force of chaos, whereas he thinks that to make the best Joker possible, it should be something that's personal to Batman. He thinks that taking Joe Chill, the man who killed his parents, and turning him into a Joker, that would make it like a definitive Joker, the ultimate Joker. But things sort of go crazy. There's a lot of cool action scenes. It happens all very quickly. It's sort of cutting between Batgirl fighting comedian Joker and Batman fighting criminal Joker. It's very chaotic. There's explosions, there's stuff going on, but yeah. End result, there's sort of like Batman rescues Joe Chill. We have this sort of tender little moment with Joe Chill saying he knows he's sort of heard of Batman from people in jail, because he would have been in jail long before Batman arrived on the scene, and he sort of knows who he is. And it's sort of you can read it as maybe he knows that it's Bruce Wayne, but it's sort of you're not sure. But there's a nice little moment of Batman and him. You can see Batman sort of, he's not, I don't know, forgiven him necessarily, but he's not going to beat into a bloody pulp or anything. As you can see that he's sort of able to let go a bit, seeing this pathetic old man there. Anyway, but then the criminal Joker sort of crawls out of the wreckage, and he's sort of, got his dynamite, and looks like he's gonna, he's still going, but then he gets shot. Spoilers, by the comedian Joker. And the comedian Joker sort of shoots him, and he sort of surrenders, says, yeah, he's surrendering. And so they arrest the comedian Joker, and in the back of a paddy wagon, Batman's talking to him, and he claims that he's the superior Joker out of the three of them. He says that the clown Joker was only interested in laughing at people suffering, and he thinks that's completely plain and boring, nothing special about it. The criminal Joker he thinks is wrong in thinking that the Joker should have an identity, making him personal to Batman. Comedian Joker thinks that's wrong. He thinks the opposite. He thinks that the Joker should be an anonymous force of chaos. He shouldn't have an identity. And so apparently he claims that that's why he planted a seed in the criminal Joker's head to try and make Joe Chill the new Joker, because he claims he knew how it would play out, so he just sort of planted that seed and sat back and watched it play out. He knew that Batman would see this pathetic old man and it would help him heal, that he wouldn't be able to be angry at this dying old man. And by healing the scar left by Joe Chill, comedian Joker thinks that means that'll leave him to take top place as the most horrible person in Batman's life, the one who's causing him the most pain, because he's forgiven Joe Chill now, so Joker takes top spot. He's not second dog anymore, doesn't have to worry about the man who killed his parents, because that was always going to be number one, but now that's gone, so now Joker gets to be the one who's caused the most pain. He's going to keep causing him pain, and he'll be the one, that Batman is hurt by the most, and that's sort of what he wanted, apparently. He also sort of plays loose with a whole which Joker was a real one, because at first he says that he regrets making the criminal Joker, and he says, oh, but maybe he regrets making me, and, like that sort of flippy, no confirmation. So, but then we do get one of the Batcave, Bruce talking to Alfred, and he pretty much says that he had known the Joker's identity pretty much a week after he first met him, but he claims that the identity is not important, and it never was. And we start seeing these little cutaway scenes to Bruce going to Alaska, and in Alaska you're seeing him looking at the Joker's family from The Killing Joke. His wife and daughter, who was unborn in The Killing Joke, but still, and Bruce is sort of watching them. Meanwhile, he's talking to Alfred, saying how if people knew the Joker's identity, they'd go after his family, his family. And we also get some altered flashbacks from The Killing Joke, where rather than the Joker just being a sort of family man and that, turns out he was abusive, and so his wife sort of got some cops to help her fake a death and go into hiding because she was worried about what he'd do when their baby was born. And as a Killing Joke fan, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because it sort of eclipses the idea of the Joker just being this ordinary guy who has one bad day. Now you're like, oh, he's already a monster. So yeah, not sure how I feel about that. But it's not enough for me to hate the story or anything. So yeah, that does suggest to me that the comedian Joker was the original Joker, because if Bruce figured out his identity after the first week, it's also suggesting that that family is the family of the Joker whose identity he figured out. But then earlier on he said, this is what I mentioned before, but it could be contradicted, he said that the criminal Joker was the one most like one he originally encountered. So, I don't know, it's still not clear. It's hard to interpret, extrapolate information. It's not clear-cut, but that's okay. That's sort of the whole point of this thing, I guess. You have a whole idea of the Joker, these three Jokers, nothing's clear-cut. And as I've seen someone else point out, it's sort of ironic that the Joker who was most for the idea of being this anonymous force, he's the only one we know to have an actual clear backstory. So yeah, that's some irony for you. Oh, and I should add the whole romance between Barbara and Jason has sort of still been going on in the background. Not romance, but Jason sort of wants it to happen. Barbara doesn't think it's a good idea. And at the end you see him writing a note for her, which he leaves on he just sticks onto her front door some tape, and the note falls off and gets swept away by a janitor. It was pretty much a note, him confessing his feelings and saying that, if you feel the same, it'll be great. But if you don't even have to talk about it. You can never mention this again. So I thought, yeah, it's looking kind of pointless. Unless they're going to address that somewhere else, I feel like what was really the point of that? But anyway, not important. Poor Jason. So yeah, that was Three Jokers Part 3. Thoughts on the whole series? Like I said before, I think it was a good little self-contained series. That's how I'm seeing it for now. An enjoyable self-contained Elseworld-style series that sort of explores these different characters. You can tell it came from a place of sort of love for these characters. Definitely not what I was expecting from the early days of these free Joker rumors. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and if nothing else, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful series. I'm never going to stop loving this artwork. And so let me know what you guys thought down below. If you read the series, you're not interested, what are your thoughts? The connections with Killing Joke. What do you think? What do you think about these sort of slight retcons, with playing around with continuity? Yeah, sound off in the comments down below, as they say. Yeah, if you want to see my previous video, I covered the first 2 issues of Free Jokers. I'll have that floating around up here somewhere. If you want to see some more of my comic videos, I've got a playlist for them over here. You can check out. Anyway, guys, take care, and happy reading.